Kirtan is
No, we go.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna
something just came by inspiration. I wasn't expecting it at all. So normally it's not the type of thing that people like to hear or think about, especially not in the God mood. But it's this Bhagavad Gita verse that goes, Tat vidi pranipate na priprashena sevya upadekshanti de kyaranam jnaninas tattvadarshina. It means that one should learn the truth by approaching a bona fide spiritual master. One should submit oneself before him and inquire submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge to you because they have seen the truth. So why this is not such a popular thing is because people like to think that they are their own guru, or I don't need a guru, I don't need anybody to tell me nothing. I can figure my own way out. But here in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is actually saying that it's actually a necessity on the spiritual path to take a spiritual master, to take up a spiritual master. And basically, in essence, what the process of accepting a spiritual master is where you are surrendering your will to the will of that person. This is quite a big deal. Imagine somebody telling you, you know, basically you're giving control of your life over to somebody. So therefore, one should be extremely careful who one accepts as a spiritual master. And there are a lot of bogus gurus going around. And I have friends who have been caught up with such individuals, and they came out the other side, and it can be very traumatic. It can be very, people can spend decades of their lives following some person and discover that they're actually fake. They're like pashandis, they're pretenders. And a lot of times these people, they're so convinced themselves that they're very convinced. They will convince themselves. So one should have some preliminary knowledge. But I want to talk just a little bit about why is there such a necessity for that. I think anything in life, you know, if you want to become master at it, you need to take an apprenticeship with him. I mean, YouTube videos can only take you so far. You can learn how to cook a dosa, you can kind of, or how to cook some preparation and get some tips from people. But let's say you want to do carpentry. There's only so far you can get where there's actually a person that's with you that they can fine-tune your skills to take it to the next level. So you can learn stuff by yourself, but there's a limit. So we're not saying that you can't do anything, but there's a limit. And if you want to attain spiritual mastery, then you have to take a apprenticeship of somebody who is a master. So you want to become a master of carpentry, you take, and you don't just, anybody says like on, I don't know, on LinkedIn or Instagram, they're like, you know, I'm a master carpenter. It's like, okay, but let's see your work. Let's see what you've accomplished. You know, let me do a test to see what is your qualification. So, like Prabhupada says that you know, when you go to a market and you want to buy a knife, you have to know what is the quality of a knife, so you know what to look for. So when you go to a person, you take the knife and you test it, you see how does it cut, because you understand what it's supposed to do. The strength of the metal, the sturdiness of the handle. You buy a handle knife and then a week later the handle comes loose or something. Useless. Nice sharp knife but no handle. So you say similarly, if you go and look for a spiritual master, one should have some knowledge of what is a bona fide spiritual master. What is the qualities that this person should have? What is the knowledge this person should possess? Otherwise, this is a Prabhupada's, but he says, otherwise you go to some person and they point to some dog and they say, here is God. And then you accept, oh yes, here is God. This is just his way of saying that anybody can be God. Anybody can say this is God or that is God. But what is the...
But God's inside you.
God is inside of us.
God is inside all.
It is correct, but that doesn't mean that we should not discriminate, because you can say, oh, God is inside the tiger, let me embrace him, and then he devours you. So yes, he's inside the tiger, but one should be able to...
And where do you find the spiritual master?
Spiritual master? Okay,
that's a good question, because there's so many people that are pretending, you know.
And where do you have to go to India?
No, you don't have to go to India.
So where do you find him?
The spiritual master it says is revealed, like when the student
disciple is ready.
Right. And the different types of spiritual master. You get the one that I'm talking about specifically is referring to Diksha Guru. Diksha Guru means the one who connects you into an unbroken disciplic lineage. Like when I plug my cell phone into the socket here, then I get power from ESCOM because there's an unbroken chain. It goes to this box, and then it goes to a more central distributing place, and from there it goes to wherever it's generated. If anywhere there's a broken link, I will not get the power. So similarly, a spiritual master has to be connected into such a lineage, where these lineages are descending from the spiritual world, passed on from master to disciple. So then there's also what's called a Shiksha Guru, means instructing spiritual master, somebody who is giving you instructions on the spiritual path. And Shiksha Guru can be many. One should actually have many Shiksha Gurus, taking mentorship and guidance from different people. And I think also different people will be able to guide you in certain aspects of your life more effectively than others. So it's very nice to have Shiksha Gurus. But they are around, and so one should be able to see.
I believe there's two parts. There is the with the guru, and there's the one where you go inside your own self. The truth is there.
Yeah, the truth is
there.
It is there. But it said that
how did those gurus, they went inside?
With the guidance of their guru.
Yes. When you take it back and back and back.
Who was the first one to go inside?
Yes.
Yeah, there was actually a person who had contact with God because they were on a liberated platform.
Yes.
So it is quite exceptional individuals.
Yes.
So then because those people have that connection, then and they can see the people who are attempting to establish that connection, they can assist them. But it's not that, I think maybe you're saying is that, one has to apply oneself and endeavor. It's not that you sit back and it's some magic dust like he puts on your head and poof, because it doesn't work like that. You really have to apply yourself.
You have to apply yourself.
It is a fact. It is a fact. It is not. It doesn't come cheap. It doesn't come cheap. Yeah. And the spiritual master is there to guide one, but it is us that has to take the step. It is us who has to take the step ultimately. And there's also said there is the what's called the Chaitya Guru, which is the Guru which is in the heart, which is also called the Super Soul, the Paramatma. It's the God in its all-pervasive aspect, which is present in every atom and in our heart.
Intuition, knowledge from within.
Yeah, intuition can be spiritual, but if one is not purified, it's very difficult to discriminate between materially oriented intuition and spiritual. But there definitely is a spiritual aspect to intuition, but intuition is also very much comes up according to one's desires. So if you're like in the business realm and you're going to make money, your intuition will be fine-tuned to that, about what investments to make and not to make. You'll get a gut feeling. It's your intuition saying, put money in that thing because it's going to pay out. Because it's also based on some knowledge, which is just kind of automatic, like muscle memory, right? But that's tuned to your desire. So if your desire is not purely spiritual, then your intuition will also be mixed. So, but intuition is important, and intuition is something that one can learn to rely on to a certain degree, but one also needs knowledge to be able to kind of bounce it off of. Okay, where's this gut feeling taking me? So it is gut feeling can just be like, I don't know, being an opportunity to take advantage of somebody of the opposite sex. It's like that's also, people have that intuition.
But wouldn't that be ego as opposed to like genuine intuition, though?
On that level, yes.
I think it depends on whether you're in the mode of ignorance, passion, or goodness, as well. If you're in the mode of ignorance, then your intuition will be guiding you into more ignorance.
Yeah. So this is quite a broad subject, and I think, like when you talk of a spiritual master, it's something which one can approach from different angles to get like a wholesome view. So I'm just like kind of giving like one snippet, not like this is it, but more just as one thing which is part of actually a wholesome spiritual practice. It's not that, it is a...
So then what would be the difference in your spiritual practice before you have a spiritual master, or if you have a spiritual master?
Okay, that's nice. So one thing is that there's a subtle connection made, like with a connection like with ESCOM. So you're actually getting the blessings of all the predecessor acharyas, masters who come in that chain. That they coming through your spiritual master to you. So there's a type of strength that one gets from that. And the spiritual master, the bona fide spiritual master, he's actively meditating on his disciples. And through that, there's a constant flow of empowerment that also comes. So that's one aspect. I guess that's more a bit of esoteric. On the other hand, it's not that when you have the spiritual master, all of a sudden you're going to wake up and your whole life's going to be completely changed. Actually, what happens is, in my experience, and many people who I've talked to have confirmed the same, life actually gets harder. Because what's happening now is that I guess you could say there's like a contract with this person, and this person is also obliged to you, as your spiritual master, to take you out of this material realm. So it's kind of like this pulling from that side also. It's like, okay, we made this agreement that you'll be my disciple and I will assist you. And that's what he's doing. So through his prayers or through his physical interactions or his instructions. So there's a bit of a pulling on that side, which then starts actually affecting your entire life, where things get harder in the sense of it's like one is not allowed to just get swept away by material energy anymore, by one's own material desires. Like we're pursuing all these kind of things, which sometimes we don't even know whether it's spiritual or not, or material, or we haven't even thought about it. But these things just don't work out in the way that they normally would, because they're not spiritually beneficial. It's quite a subtle thing, and sometimes people, when they're newly going through these experiences, they're very confused because they're expecting like this, but it's quite the opposite. It's like, oh my God, what's going on?
It's like the light is shining brighter and you see all the...
Yes. Thank you. That's another very nice point. You're right. It's like all this dirt starts coming to the surface. And some people feel like, I was actually a better person before, I'm like worse now. But it's like, no. It's like you go into an old attic and it's like you haven't gone in there in months. And you go in there, that type when if you blow like this, the dust stays put. And if you do this, it's like a deep thing of like that. So you start dusting. And all this dust comes up and you're choking and you run out of the room. You're like, oh my God, it was better before I started cleaning. No, that you're just actually seeing how dirty it is now. All the dust that is compacted has lifted now. Like you said, the light has been shined under now. And now it's like, okay, this is actually my current condition. So I need to deal with this now and to work. And now one step forward. I'm supposed to now conduct myself in a way which is actually different to my nature, because what I'm trying to act or aspire for, let's say, purity, but I'm very far from it. So sometimes there's a bit of a, what do you call it, internal conflict. Yes, thank you. That arises there. And if one is not very mature, then it can be very fanatical, where for some time you force yourself to kind of just like artificially tolerate like inconveniences or misdealings from other people, or make, they call it pure devotee syndrome.
I believe in equanimity.
Yes.
That's it, the equanimity.
That's a spiritual quality. And that's when one is mature, one gets to there. When one is not so extreme. Like where one actually finds that.
It's very, very hard to attain equanimity. But I think that's
when you talk about equanimity, are you talking about when people talk about, I can say, acting or working from a neutral space?
Equanimity is balance.
Balance, yeah.
Happiness and distress. Tolerating the happiness and distress and being undisturbed by them.
Not polarizing to either
attachment or aversion.
Yes.
Because that always confused me. Like, like when they say, like when you speak about detachment, and not like Catherine saying between like the polar opposites, but finding that middle ground, that neutral space. Like to me, neutral was you don't. And maybe my interpretation from like, if you feel neutral towards something, to me it's like apathetic.
You don't feel anything, yeah.
Yeah, like, but is that the correct interpretation? Because, like, let's say I see someone being mugged, you know, and I go, oh well,
In neutral way.
I'm neutral. I feel nothing about this person getting mugged. You know, they're in distress, but I'm
I
not
think
feeling nothing.
it's more like you're feeling like shame that poor person's getting mugged, but you're not gonna let it
But how can you feel?
upset you
How
and
can
change.
you feel neutral in a situation like that? Where you go, oh well,
It's
They-
a
they-
bit of both.
they've been mugged. It's
It's a
meant
bit
to
of
be.
both.
So I'm just gonna let it happen and be serene.
And be like,
watch them get
shame,
mugged.
send them some good wishes.
Yeah.
Like, don't let it.
If you see someone being mugged, you can step in and maybe stop it or do what you can do if there is something that you can do.
Yeah.
But you don't then beat yourself. If you can't do anything, you don't like.
But what I mean is, you'll feel something. You
Yes,
won't
you
just
do.
feel. You won't just be
You
neutral
feel
and
all
go.
the time. No, you feel all
So
the time,
so
but
what?
you don't
What?
get.
My question is,
you're
what
not-
is that feeling then?
You're not supposed to get
Hooked, yeah. It's
Yeah.
about getting hooked into
that
something.
thing
It's a nice
where
feeling.
you cannot let it go, where
Yeah.
it bugs you and
Where
it
you're
bugs you.
fixating the
and
whole time
yeah,
in a
it
loop, in a
bugs
loop,
you.
in a loop, in a loop.
it bugs you.
You feel what you feel.
Yeah, but that's obsession.
We can
You
never
feel
stop
what you
feeling.
feel.
When you stop feeling, you'll be dead.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. That's that neutral. What I'm talking about. People say you need to go to that neutral space and not feel the
It's
extremes or the
impossible
polar
not to
opposites.
feel.
You have
That's not
to-
equanimity.
Yeah.
That's the neutral space
Yeah.
you're thinking of is not the right interpretation of
That's
equipoised.
Yeah.
That's all. That's just the difference of interpretation of the concept. It's not a deadening of feeling
No,
necessarily,
it's
or compassion. I mean, compassion is crucial, of course,
not. Yeah.
all the teachings say.
Mm.
But it's about being equanimity, being equipoised, because you're informed with knowledge. You can see the bigger picture based on knowledge, and the knowledge tells you that all living entities are struggling under their material karma, and they're getting the experiences in the school of hard knocks, and we're all getting them. But the compassion is for the living entity, the soul inside that body and that mind that's going through that particular lifetime. This knowledge, you see that there have been many lifetimes and we've gone through numerous struggles and we'll may go through more. But we don't let it detract, and we keep the focus, which is compassion for the spiritual journey of that soul, not just the physical problems or mental problems they might be having in this lifetime, but the ultimate spiritual. That's the real compassion, is for the living entity. Even a wealthy man with opulence can be a struggling spiritual being.
Yeah.
Mm.
So with knowledge you're informed as to how to be compassionate to all living entities regarding their spiritual journey, not just their material struggles. There's terrible suffering in India. If you go there, you'll see the beggars of very austere conditions compared to here. Actually, it's quite gentle here. So there's terrible suffering. But the goal is not to give them just food or money, but to give them spiritual information and guidance and blessings and prayers. Even it's even more valuable than just lifting the person out of material distress. Is giving the soul the key to the journey back home to Godhead.
Yeah, it's nicely said. And it's not something that you can like artificially develop. It's something that naturally comes when one becomes spiritually more mature. Like
So then-
humility also.
Is compassion,
Like,
say, like a feeling, or like man's highest virtue, so to speak, but it's also then an action. Is it not the response or the desire to help alleviate someone's
Yeah.
suffering or distress?
Yeah, it's an action.
But there must be wisdom as well
Yeah.
as to how you help, what to help the person. You know, you can think, if I do this for the person, I'll help him. But you could actually be doing harm.
Yeah, but your intent is good. You
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
alleviate
But just
Still
it's
distress.
not enough.
Well, it's a lack of wisdom, and it's a lack
Yeah,
of knowledge.
it needs to.
Like you give that kid on the corner the stop street, he's begging, and you give him £5. He has to go give that to the older boys. You're going to use that to buy a tip. You know, he's not going to get nothing. Like that's how it works. But you should
Yeah,
know.
but he might also go and buy food. You don't know. We don't
Then
know
give
that.
him an apple. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it's like a.
But I'm saying you could give him that
He can
£5
do something.
and he can go buy food. The thing is that behavior stops with us. So our intent is to give him the coin or the money.
But you still get implicated with what he does it. Whatever he uses that for,
But is that not his choice to do that?
It is his choice, but it's also your choice to be informed or to take a risk
think about
for that.
all the options.
Give him food rather than money.
Yeah.
Play
Because
safe.
if he takes that, that's why. So in charity,
So
you should not just give to anybody, because what they use it for, you get implicated in that. So if they actually use it for good, you get pious benefit, like credit from that. But if they use it for like other stuff, then you get the reactions from that as well. Because it's the energy that you've given them to go and do something with. You like empowered them. So therefore, it is be very careful.
No, but my point is then, like, where does your responsibility end and theirs begin? Because you can't be responsible. You can't be responsible for my actions. You aren't responsible for my actions.
No, I'm not. But
As a
then-
sovereign being,
Yeah, I'm
you
not
can't
responsible for your actions, but if I can implicate myself with your choices in certain ways, like by giving you something.
let's say you give me that to go home and practice with, and I choose to hit someone over the head with it instead.
You'll get in trouble.
But you see what I'm saying? You didn't know that I was going to do that, but you still gave me the, what do you call it, harmonium.
Yeah.
But what I chose to do with it was sinister, but you still chose to give it to me. So you are going to incur negative karma then, because I chose to beat someone with the harmonium.
I think money is a different energy. Money is a different energy.
But what I'm saying is, like, the intent, you gave it with a good intent. You had no idea of what I was going to do with it.
I just read that cornfield is a Buddhist monk, and he's what he said one day. He was going into this ashram, and he had this money in his pocket from America. So there were all the beggars outside. So he took the money and he started dishing it out, and the people went mad. And eventually just threw out all his money. And the people were almost killing each other to grab this money. That is not. He felt compassion for them, and he felt he wanted to help them. But then he saw what he did was a disaster. That's what he said. It's like you need to have the wisdom as to how to help people.
How could he have obtained that wisdom or known that would happen unless he did it?
Yeah,
If you ask somebody who was in knowledge, if you ask somebody who was in knowledge, then that person would have told him. And then he would have known without having to.
I mean, obviously too, sometimes you have to learn, you make a mistake.
Yeah,
That's how
exactly.
you learn.
Well, the wise person learns from the mistakes that others make. The
Yeah.
fool will be taught, but he'll still make mistakes. You can learn by experience.
You have to also experience.
Yeah, that's what I was
You
saying. Like,
have to. If you don't get the message and absorb the wisdom from the teacher, then you maybe have to learn the hard way. But to avoid the hard way, you get the advice.
It's like the foolishness that we need to learn the hard way. But if you're actually intelligent, you don't have to suffer to learn. It's like a first class way of learning is like you hear from somebody who knows and that's it, and then now you know. But a third class way of learning is when you're a bit more doff, then you have to just kind of go through the hard knocks and then. But at the end of the day is at least you learn. I think that's the important part. So I think whether you learn first class or third class is more of the one is just going to involve a lot more suffering. But at the end of the day, you're still going to learn. And then it's the same thing. So I think it's in that sense, it's not no difference between it. It's more just that the one's going to be a bit nicer.
Yeah, there's usually confirmation from 3 sources. When you hear from a teacher, there's Guru, but there's also Sadhu and there's Shastra. Sadhu means the other saintly people, the Sadhus. And Shastra is the scripture. Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. So if a Guru comes to give you advice, it should also correlate with what the other Sadhus say and what the scriptures say. And that's where there can be counterbalances and checks and balances. Even if you're hearing something from your intuition or the super soul and you know, is it my mind or is it the super soul? It should have some confirmation from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Otherwise, it could be just a mind.
That's also is that many people, they feel that, you know, I don't need a guru, I'm my own guru. But
For that you get
you know,
extra sad.
for that, I kind of feel that
Ooh,
the person who says he's his own guru has a fool for a disciple.
Always sad.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's actually, that's actually the reason why we keep taking birth, like, life after life after life, because we're following our own advice, or actually the advice of our mind.
More.
That's why we're still taking birth again and again and
Where
again.
do you want it?
Because we're thinking like that we are bound and we can free ourselves, but only a free person can free another one who's bound. So it is, it's actually quite important. You're drowning in the ocean, you're tied up, and you know, and now you want to go and save somebody else who's also drowning and tied up. It doesn't work like that.
I always thought it should be possible to everyone to do themselves. I always thought we should be able to, like, it should be within all of us to find salvation or whatever you
Potential
call
is
it.
there.
No,
Yeah.
it's
It's
there.
not that it's harder.
Yeah.
Because the mind,
Can you speak normally?
the mind is, can't be relied on.
Yeah, but that's
There's
the
other-
you got to
You have
try
wisdom.
to
Yeah, you
understand the
get the
mind.
wisdom generally from those who already have
Yes.
led the path, the guru or any teachers.
But we're using the mind to try to understand the mind, and the mind is the problem. So how do you fix the mind with the mind?
Because you
if the
mustn't-
mind's the problem.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's
But
the
therefore,
thing.
so you need a spiritual practice. And where do you actually
Yes.
learn authentic spiritual practice from somebody who is following it? You can't make up your own spiritual practice. So again, once again, there's this. It brings it back. Always there's this other person who's outside of oneself, who we need to take guidance from. But also balanced with that we are the ones who have to make the step and with the endeavor. But we need the assistance. And I think there's something very empowering in that, because through that it's much easier to tap into humility, where we actually realize I am good. That's a very powerful humble position to be, not like I can do it myself. But kids go through that, and they need to learn, no, actually ask for help. It'll be much easier, much less painful. It's actually a very powerful
That's
position
why
to
I
be in.
take refuge in the Buddha.
Yes, yes. So that's why these people are there, to take like shelter from, and advice from, and guidance from.
Yes, and the Dharma.
Dharma.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like a higher
Guru
frequency.
Sadhu and
things
Shastra.
like
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and
It's
the Buddha
completely.
says it's the mind, you know, it's the mind
Mm.
that can lead you astray. And
You know, humble.
yeah,
In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says,
yeah.
to the one who has controlled the mind is the greatest friend. But to the
Yes.
one who has not controlled the mind is the greatest
worst
enemy. Yeah, it just destroys
Yes.
you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because our nature is to serve. And either we're serving our mind, or we're serving like God in some other way.
That's what I
Yes,
love
spiritual.
about the Gita too, that serving, that you can choose to serve God.
Yes. Because the mind is saying, I want this, and we're just like, yes, master. I want to eat this, yes, master. I want to smell or see this, yes, master. And then you go and get it, and then the master says, is that all you got? Is that all? No, it's like always ungrateful. Yeah. So, anyway, I think it can be a bit of a hot potato topic, because I know I just somehow felt I'm just gonna do it, drop the bomb. But I think it's something which is worth thinking about.
I just had a question. That expression bona fide, where does it come from?
I think it's
Latin.
Italian or
Latin.
It's like good faith,
It's a Latin
from good
phrase.
faith.
Bona fide.
Oshi bona fide is the
Good.
proper pronunciation.
Well, we use it to mean authentic or genuine or real.
Mm.
But it's also used in law, and it may have other philosophical references or implications. But we would say genuine, it means genuine.
In English, genuine.
Yeah.
Bona fide is Latin.
Yeah, I was just surprised at that Latin, because I read it in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Latin. They use that Latin word,
Mm-hmm.
good faith,
It's interesting.
genuine.
Yeah.
Also, just by chanting the Maha Mantra, we are taking initiation from Prabhupada.
Correct.
So we are
Yes.
in the Namashwaya. We are, taking shelter in the holy.
Oh, thank you.
And all the gurus are assistant prophets.
Yeah. And we connected to that disciplic
Through,
decision.
in the
Yes, that's the guru giving the technique of liberation, which would be the chanting of the mantra.
Oh, do you tell me no?
No, if you think that, then it's just the moment.
Teaching how to apply a
Definitely not me.
And guru is given that.
And there's more than one disciplic lineage or spiritual lineages, and there's also they branch out.
Yeah,
It's just like a whole tree. So in that way you can actually, there are many bona fide spiritual masters whose natures are very different. You might find some that are like super conservative and traditional, and others who are like super like eccentric, or you know, all the extremes, which is so nice because then you can find somebody who has a personality that really kind of resonates with you.
Yeah, better match.
Yes, yes, and that's also important.
I think it does, but probably not.
So Briat, I heard something interesting. So that the Muhammad, the Prophet, peace be upon him, he said that Kalonji